Hey, welcome to your Pisces horoscope for the week of November 26th through December 2nd, which means we are moving into the last month of 2023 this week. I'm not unhappy about it. 2023 has been very difficult for a lot of people, and I do have hope for 2024, actually. Mainly because the last couple of years, all of the Mercury retrogrades have been in full Earth signs, and the Earth signs really are the ones, the influencers. They're the ones that get things done. They really are. And having these Mercury retrogrades take over every single one of them every year for 2 years really, I think, is gumming up the works here a little bit. So I'm happy to say that looking into the horoscopes for next year, that's not going to happen. They're moving into fire signs. And while that does bring up its own issues, they won't be in earth signs anymore. And maybe some of these problems that we have can be fixed, at least fingers crossed for that. We do continue to have Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, and focus is on self for the most part here. And both planets are interacting in different ways with other planets, specifically because they're so far apart in your sign. So it's almost like you have one in the beginning and one in the end. So it's definitely, they're going to be working independently in various different ways, creating challenges and being helpful all at the same time. So we're going to start with Neptune. Neptune's square with Mercury, which is the first challenge. And that is actually going to end next week because Mercury has been in Sagittarius. The not so great news is the Sun and Mars are going to move into a square with Neptune at some point because they're just getting into Sagittarius as well. But I do think that there's going to be a little bit of a break in between those two. Mercury is focused on career, with Neptune being focused on self. Now, Neptune is all about intuition, and it is still retrograde. And that retrograde does tend to amplify our intuition a little bit. But our intuition gets garbled when it really, really, really means something. Like we're really trying to get, to make it a career decision. And it's almost like we're trying to push the intuition to come through, and it's not going to come through when it's pushed. In fact, it rarely ever does. Think about it. Do you do what you're told to do just because somebody pushed you into doing it? The answer is probably no. Nobody likes to be pushed into anything. So that's definitely not how you want to handle your intuition either. When it comes to your decision process, the other part of the reason why intuition can be so difficult is we're told what we need to hear and not what we want to hear. And so oftentimes our intuition is misinterpreted based on what we want. And when it comes to any kind of decisions on your career, it seems like a very important decision, too important to utilize something that isn't physical, if that makes sense. Intuition, while most of the time is 100% correct, the interpretation can always be off. Maybe we're not, we think it's one thing, but it really meant another thing. And so if you are an individual who is afraid to make the wrong decision, you might actually not go with what your intuition is saying, just to make sure that it is not the worst decision that you can make, if that makes sense. But to counterbalance this challenge, we continue to have Neptune in a grand sextile with Pluto as well as Uranus. Now, Uranus is focused on the mind and how the mind works. Pluto is still focused on inner trauma. So it's bringing up triggers. And actually, It's these triggers and the overactive mind, the overthinking problem, that are really the problem with your intuition. It's not saying that your intuition isn't coming through. It's just being blocked by all this other stuff, by being overly emotional or overly analytical, because we can't ever seem to be in the middle of those two. It's not human nature to be in the middle. It's not human nature to be balanced at all. Yeah, this is a grand sextile. It is a balance, because it is a triangle, and not like a regular triangle where all of them are the same size, all of the lines are the same length, but it is two short lines and one longer one. It is balanced. The lines are the exact same length. So bottom line here for that is that when you're making these big decisions in terms of your career, your intuition should be a part of that always. You don't necessarily have to do exactly what you're told, but definitely take it into consideration. And remember, intuition, to me, I rely on my intuition much more than I would advise from any other individual, because my intuition never lies. I may not like what it has to say, but it never lies. So think about that as well. As we move into Saturn and all of the fun stuff that's going on there, Saturn is in a square with Mars. Mars is focused on long-term goals. It's in Sagittarius, so that's why there's a square there or a challenge there. But really, the big thing here that I feel is whether or not you're taking personal responsibility or not. This has come up in almost every horoscope this week, personal responsibility. In my opinion, and in my experience with other people, nobody is taking personal responsibility. Every time there's a problem, it's somebody else's fault. It's never my fault. It's this person's fault because they intruded in what we're doing, or it's that person's fault, or it's the government's fault, or it's the all these other people. It's everybody's fault but yours. That doesn't get you anywhere. Maybe, okay, somebody made a decision that affected you, but there's still responsibility that you can take in that situation. Especially, like, for example, this is a situation that happens all the time where this person keeps making bad decisions that affect you. Why are you still letting them make your decisions? Why have you not taken yourself and put yourself in a position to where you're making your decisions and not them, if that makes sense? Granted, we're all in situations that are out of our control also. I know a Pisces currently right now taking care of both of his parents. They're very old. Things change all the time. He has no control over that. His responsibility is how he reacts to that situation, not the fact that he has control over the situation or not. So there's always something to be responsible for in these situations. And the reaction alone can make this a difficult situation or a devastating situation. It just depends on how much energy you want to waste or how much energy you want to put towards trying to make improvements as much as possible in that. Saturn is in a grand sextile with Jupiter as well as Mercury. Mercury is focused on career. Jupiter is focused on the past. What's interesting about this is you're basically taking inspiration from the past to further your career goals now. So you're not necessarily doing the same thing you've always done, but you are kind of just sort of taking stock of where you've been and going, okay, I can use this part of what I've already done in this next venture, rather than trying to repeat what you've done in the past and continue with the same pattern over and over again. We also have Saturn in a grand sextile with Mercury and Venus. Venus is focused on finances. So this is a lot of really good energy going towards your financial success, providing, we're still talking about Saturn here, providing you do it responsibly. So if you make the right choice, the responsible choice towards your finances is what? Is to try and put money aside, is to try and put yourself in a better financial position, which you can't do if you're just spending it on whatever happens to come up, right? So this is one of those instances where it's a reminder to be responsible. Yes, of course, it's not saying don't spend money on you or you don't deserve to spend money on you. It's saying to do that, but also take responsibility as well. Put some money away for a rainy day because you know we're going to have those. They're coming, especially here in the northern hemisphere. They're coming pretty quick, maybe even a matter of days at this particular point. Pardon me. The point is that if you don't take responsibility for that, who will? And you probably have multiple different examples in the past yourself of when you didn't do that and how well that did not work out for you. So now is a really good time to make sure that you are aware of that and that you're taking that into consideration. And that's what I have for you guys this week. If you love your horoscopes, do consider sending a tip or donation through my coffee link, which is here in the description of the video. I so appreciate all the support that I have been getting from you guys. I really do. This is what helps keep me in the situation to be able to continue to provide these horoscopes for you guys every single week. The last couple of weeks have been really at the last minute, and I do apologize for that. But you know how life is, right? I really do appreciate all the support that I have been getting. I just adore you guys. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I'm Melissa Bruce, Heavy Metal Psychic. I will see you guys next week. And in the meantime, you guys, you know how good you are. You know how great you are. And you know how powerful that you are and can be if you own that power. And it is time that you did. So you guys make it a powerful week. Make it a great week. And I'll see you next week.